evening, you're watching Estuary News. I'm Hugh Riches. In the headlines tonight, a front bench member of UKIP resigns, remembering lives lost at sea in Hull and Grimsby, and bird watching across the East Riding. And later in tonight's programme, I'll be talking to Steve Skipwith about Robin Hood, and before that to Helen Barley on a new programme here on Estuary TV. The Assistant Deputy Leader of UKIP has resigned. Mike Hookham, MEP for Yorkshire and the Humber, has stepped down in protest at the leader Henry Bolton's reluctance to resign. In his resignation letter to the leader, Mr Hookham said he no longer wants to be part of a farcical scandal. He's now the sixth senior member of the party to resign as part of controversy about Mr Bolton's private life. Margot Parker, the party's deputy leader, resigned last night. A man who was murdered in Hull over the weekend has been named. 31-year-old Jarrad Marsh suffered stab wounds at a house on Albert Avenue at around 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Ambulance crews attended the incident, but Mr Marsh died at the scene. 63-year-old Colin Cadamatria has been charged with the murder and appeared at Hull Magistrates Court this morning. He's been remanded in custody. The MP for Cleethorpes and Immingham says the NHS needs to be modernised. Martin Vickers says the Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt is doing a good job amid continuing challenges. His views come days after Health Committee Chair Sarah Wollaston urged Mr Hunt to halt controversial reforms designed to change the way the NHS funding is overseen. Accountable care organisations are due to be implemented later this year.
The NHS desperately needs a complete rethink, to be perfectly honest, if it's going to be sustainable in anything like its present form. And we all want it to remain free to the point at the point of need. But achieving that is incredibly difficult. The demands on the service, not just from an ageing population, but from the younger generations who now expect a lot more from their health service than perhaps my generation. So it's a massive challenge.
And you can see that edition of Hot Topic in full tonight at 8:30 here on Estuary TV. Research has revealed that a quarter of young women in North Lincolnshire don't have a smear test. Women aged 25 to 49 are less likely to get checked compared to 80% of women aged 50 to 64. The figures come as part of Cervical Cancer Prevention Week running until Sunday. There are between 10 and 15 women newly diagnosed with cervical cancer each year across the county. Hundreds of people turned out to remember lives lost at sea in Hull yesterday. The annual Lost Trawlermen's Day took place on St Andrew's Quay, organised by the charity Stand. The service was led by the Reverend Tony Cotson and the Bishop of Hull, the Right Reverend Alison White. 6,000 lives were claimed by the triple trawler tragedy when 3 ships sunk within a couple of weeks in 1968. This was the 28th annual service. Pantomime performers in East Yorkshire are helping the family of a disabled young man with plans to give him the best 21st birthday present possible. The Cave Players are donating some of the proceeds of their Snow White production, which opened yesterday and continues throughout this week. Mike Mitchell-Davis, who has cerebral palsy, needs a wheelchair costing more than £15,000. The Mitchell's Wheels campaign has inspired villagers in North and South Cave.
Oh, this is absolutely wonderful. For us, it shows actual real community spirit, people coming together, tossing the hat in the ring just to say, we'd love to support you. Obviously, we're really delighted that they've chosen Mitchell's Wheels, but we're absolutely really grateful as well. It's actually quite humbling to have local people doing stuff for local families. We need to raise 15,000. That's what we've set out to do. Quotes may come in a little bit more than that, so 15,000 is our minimum that we've got to raise. This is a local theatre group who are pulling out all the stops to help deliver for a local boy. They always do their bits, do North Cave Players at Christmas for the pantomime. They always make sure that they support a local charity. And this year we are just absolutely delighted that they could support Mitchell's Wheels. It's great.
There are plans to demolish houses on Hull's Bransholme estate. They've become a target for repeated vandalism. The homes are next to the Great Culvert pumping station and have been damaged both internally and externally, making them no longer habitable. Permission has been granted by Hull City Council to bulldoze the properties. The final panel in a major work of art to celebrate babies born during Hull's year as City of Culture was unveiled today. The panel was erected in the foyer of the Hull Women and Children's Hospital this morning. It features babies born during November and December last year. Throughout the project, handprints from midwives were used to create the tree trunks and the branches for the artwork. Thousands of babies' footprints were taken to create the leaves. The celebration takes place at the Guildhall later this week. Thousands of people across East Yorkshire are expected to watch and count their garden birds. The RSPB's Big Garden Bird Watch is now 38 years old. It encourages people to spend just 1 hour watching and recording the birds in their garden and sending the results to the RSPB. Stuart Taylor from the RSPB explains.
It takes place between January the 27th and the 29th, and it's basically for people of all ages to spend an hour looking at the birds in your garden, counting the most you see at one time, and sending your results away to the RSPB. Over the years, we can see that some bird numbers may go up, some species may go down, and it's a way of finding out what the bird populations are doing, but also getting people of all ages involved. And again, it's not just birds. People can record different kinds of wildlife. If there's a fox or a stoat or a weasel or a badger or something like that comes in the garden. So open to all age groups. You may not be the most physical person, but you can do your bit for nature by looking out the window, having a cup of tea, some cake and counting the birds. Stay in the warm but look at the birds outside. It was fairly small time when we started, but there's more and more people getting involved. Last year there was something like 5,500 people in East Yorkshire alone just carrying out the Big Garden Bird Watch, and their results are obviously in, and we can work out what is the most common bird and which birds have declined.
I'm joined now by Helen Barley to tell me about a new programme on Estuary TV about the Humber fishing fleet during the Second World War. Helen,
Yes.
very good to see you back here where you belong.
Thank you. It's lovely to be back.
What is this new programme? Because the Humber fishing fleet was fairly active.
Yeah, it was ridiculously active, and I think it gets forgotten about sometimes, I think. So this is a Heritage Lottery funded project, and it's going to be called Churchill's Catch. And it's about the story of the Humber fishing fleets during World War II. So in Grimsby, before the war, we had about 300 steam trawlers that were active and registered in Grimsby. And when the war was imminent and the Admiralty realised, they bought 250 of those trawlers. Now, so obviously your regular fishermen became minesweepers. There's lots of sort of secret missions that they sent them on.
Well, there were all sorts of different things, but first of all,
ridiculous
it's quite a resource as a military resource. You've got a whole population of hardened sailors who are very well used to it.
About 5,000 crew members. That's a lot of people.
And this is Hull and Grimsby.
Hull and Grimsby, yes. So we're looking at Hull as well as Grimsby in this. And we are after people to come forward. You know, children, family members, friends of people, of the fishermen, that we can maybe get some stories, hopefully get some film footage, hopefully get some photos as well, and create about a 45-minute documentary.
If people, there probably won't be all that many survivors from the time.
No, unfortunately not.
They would have been little children who might remember it now. If people do have material for you or stories for you, how should they get in touch?
You can get hold of me happily on Facebook. I have my own Facebook page. It's Estuary TV's Helen Barley. And obviously the phone number, the usual Estuary TV phone number and email that you will give out at the end of the programme, they can get in touch that way. But please feel free to message me on Facebook, that's not a problem. No. Any volunteers that want to help with the project itself as well, we're happy to, more researchers. And
you've got an open day?
We've got an open day and it's called, I've got the info here, so we're having a Memories Day and that's going to be at the Fish and Heritage Centre in Grimsby. on Tuesday the 27th of February, 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. And there's going to be coffee and cake, so you can't turn that down.
You can't say no to coffee and cake.
And we can have a natter, and hopefully people will have some wonderful stories and videos and stuff to tell us.
Now, you're just touching on there what the trawlermen and what the trawlers were up to during the Second World War. It's very dangerous work anyway in peace, going and catching all those fish, especially up in the high Arctic. So they were hard men anyway.
They were.
Well used to being in danger. Yeah. But then it's complicated by the fact that the Germans were trying to kill them.
Yeah, that would have made things obviously a lot more difficult for them. So the main thing that obviously the trawlers did was mine sweeping. So going out and obviously looking for the mines that were in the water. That was, I think, that when I've done my research so far, that seems to be the things that are popping up. But we've also found little bits that I don't think many people know either. So they did, there was RMPS, and that was convoy escort patrols and defending harbours as well, like D-Day. And they also did ball bearing runs. So the trawlers would do fake fishing trips, and they would go across to Sweden, collect ball bearings and bring them back.
For the war effort?
For the war effort, obviously not letting the enemies know.
That's something that you don't really expect to think about, do you? Going out smuggling ball bearings into the country.
And then bringing them back, yeah.
And there was also sort of this glamorous special operations executive,
there was,
SOE work as
SOE
well.
work. That was delivering spies behind enemy lines as well. Again, ridiculously dangerous, knowing that you've got a huge chance of being caught.
And the U-boats as well, the main threat in the North Sea there.
And there's a few of the trawlers that had submarine detectors on them as well.
Very sophisticated
stuff.
Helen,
very
clever. I can't wait to see the results of all your
I
work.
can.
Join me after the break. Jack will bring us a roundup of the weekend's results and in the sport, and I'll be talking to Steve Skipwith about Keelby's pantomime. Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News. Still to come tonight, Jack brings us a roundup of this weekend's football results in the sport, and I'll be talking to Steve Skipwith about Robin Hood. People with learning disabilities will be able to discover the support available to them next month. Differently Abled, an NHS initiative based in Hull, has been planned by City Healthcare Partnership to raise awareness about the needs of those with a disability. The event is the first of its kind in Hull and takes place at the KCOM Stadium on the 9th of February. Suzanne Nichols from City Healthcare Partnership outlines what's on offer.
We are hosting a learning disability and carers event that is free for anybody to come along to, whether you're a member of staff, whether you've got a learning disability and or autism, whether you're just interested in knowing more about what is available locally to support people. We're going to have over 80 different stalls and services on the day, promoting all different things that are available for people in these local areas. We're going to have a health zone so people can come and have their blood pressure taken, their height and weight checked. There will be different professionals there, from physio, OT, nurses, offering advice to people regarding health. We're going to have a communication zone so people will be able to learn what a good communication environment is. And we're going to have an autism stimulation experience as well, so you can come along and feel what it might feel like for somebody who's got autism.
If they come, I would say I'm very pleased to see you all. I'm very pleased to welcome you to the event and can talk about it, how it's important to them. I would help them to understand, to learn to understand it.
Come along, even if you've got a person in your family, or just finding out what it's like, but come along.
Grimsby's Fishing Heritage Centre has passed its Visit England accreditation. The centre has been awarded the Quality Rose mark for the 12th year running. It aims to show visitors that the centre is a quality-assured attraction, and it's all assessed by a mystery shopper. This year, the assessor was impressed with the exhibition space and the staff's knowledge and experience. Waltham Windmill near Grimsby has announced plans for its next tabletop sale. It takes place on Saturday the 10th of February from 9 a.m. The windmill's own wholemeal bread, made from grain ground at the mill, will be available to buy, which is going to be there. All funds raised will go to the Waltham Windmill Preservation Society. Panto fever has hit Keelby, and I'm joined now by Steve Skipwith to tell me more. Welcome. I was going to say he's behind you or something like that, but it doesn't seem appropriate.
Not really, no.
What's the panto going to be this year?
Well, as it says there, it's Robin Hood, written by a local playwright, Rob Till, who lives in the village. It is our 36th panto. Started in 1981, and carrying on the tradition of village pantomime, really.
How can people get tickets?
We, as I say, we're a village, so unfortunately we don't have a box office, but the local local extra shop is kindly selling tickets on our behalf. But I'm sure if anybody wanted to come and watch us, we would gladly let them in on the door on the night.
And it's Keelby Village Hall, and you're opening on Saturday?
No, Friday.
Friday
we open at 7:30 Friday. We've got 2 shows on Saturday, a matinee at 2:30 and an evening show at 7:30. And then we come back again on the following Wednesday and run Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then 2 more shows on the Saturday, there at 2 and 7 o'clock.
Excellent, good. It sounds absolutely marvellous. Robin Hood is a sort of traditional pantomime subject, isn't it? But it's not usually called Robin Hood.
No, usually called Babes in the Wood, I believe. As with most of Rob Till's pantomimes, they don't always follow the predicted story, shall we say. There are always quite a few little twists and turns that you wouldn't expect.
Or as you'd expect from any pantomime.
Well, maybe so.
They're never all quite the same, are they? And they're always quite topical as well.
Well, we try to keep it topical, yes. I mean, there's stuff in there for the kids, and then there's the stuff in there for the adults.
Which the kids don't notice.
Hopefully. Which is traditional pantomime.
Who are you playing?
I'm playing Prince John this year, which is a deviation from my usual role, which is usually the Dame.
Right.
Quite a few complaints this year that I am not playing the Dame, but it's nice not to wear a dress.
Well, it's not compulsory, I suppose, but that's fine. But King John, you're the baddie.
Along with the Sheriff, yes.
So you're the one who gets all the boos and hisses from the audience.
Hopefully, that's the idea.
The audience participation here.
Yeah.
Now, your pantomime has been, as you said, it's been going on for a long time, since the 1980s.
Yes.
It's got a sporting connection.
Originally started by the cricket club in Keelby, looking for a way to raise money that was different. We opened in 1981. We did 3 shows to packed audiences, I have to say, and such was the clamour for tickets in those days that we expanded to where we are now.
So are you all cricketers?
Not now.
Involved in the production? Not
now. In the old days, to be part of the cricket club, you had to live in Keelby, and so anybody taking part was a playing member, a partner or a child. Unfortunately, as with everything, those days have gone, so we now recruit from far afield. We actually got, our leading lady comes from Hessel, used to live in the village, loves it that much.
Comes over the bridge.
She travels to every rehearsal and show from Hessel.
Now, what can we expect as we have this theatrical experience? Is it a vast production with a cast of thousands?
A cast of about 18 to 20.
Well, that's a big cast.
On what is relatively a small stage, I have to say. But our backstage crew do wonders getting props and scenery on with very restricted access. We like to think it's as professional as we can make it, with sounds, lights and live music. And
yes, I was going to say, you've got live music, there are songs as well.
Yeah, there is a live pianist, although rumour has it, not all the time.
OK. Well, everybody's allowed to cheat a little bit.
Yes, well,
you know, it is an illusion theatre.
We'll see what he says about that.
Why is it so important in villages like Keelby that you maintain these sort of things that you all do together, like Panto?
Well, I think that's it. I think it brings the village together. In the past, there were quite a number of villages who did Panto: Immingham, Heyborough, Brookenby, Laceby to a degree, but they've all, as far as I'm aware now, stopped. So it's nice that we're sort of the last one going.
Well done for you for keeping it going, Steve. Thanks very much. And break a leg. Here's Jack with all the sport.
We'll begin with football, and it was yet another winless weekend for Hull City. The Tigers lost 1-0 to bottom of the table Sunderland at the Stadium of Light to drop themselves further into the relegation dogmire. Joel Asoro scored the only goal against a City side that are now only outside the bottom three on goal difference to Sunderland. Hull City head coach Nigel Adkins said, "We can't hide away from it. That's probably the worst 35 minutes of football we've had since I've been here. We weren't good enough today. We're in a relegation battle. We need it here and now, and we're working hard behind the scenes. It can all be fragmented, but the fact of the matter is that we're in a relegation battle and we have to graft to get ourselves out of it." Meanwhile, in League One, Scunthorpe United's 6-match winning run has come to an end. The Iron lost 3-1 at home to Gillingham on Saturday, the first defeat of 2018 for Graham Alexander's side. Gillingham had led 1-0 at half-time thanks to Lee Martin, before Josh Morris scored his 9th goal of the season shortly after the break. Morris then saw a shot tipped onto the post as United pressed forward, but goals from Joss Parker and Tom Eves secured victory for the Gills. Scunthorpe remain in 4th place in the table despite the defeat, but are now 5 points off the automatic promotion spots. On to League 2 now, and new signing Charles Vernham scored his first goal for Grimsby Town, but it wasn't enough to secure victory. Vernham had given the Mariners the lead against Colchester United, side-footing home from the edge of the area on 38 minutes. However, the host drew level shortly after half-time through Sean Murray. Town then went close, both through Vernham and Ben Davis, but in the end, both sides had to settle for a point. Vernham himself tweeted after the game. He said, "What a feeling to score my first professional goal. Disappointed not to come away with all 3 points, but a positive performance going into next week." That result brought an end to Grimsby's 4-match losing run. They're 16th in the table, 12 points off the playoffs and 9 points above the relegation zone. And finally, in Rugby Union's Yorkshire Division 1, Beverley beat Moortown 48-22 at Beaver Park, while Hellendians went down 34-5 at North Ribblesdale. The Enzians sit in 10th, while the Beavers are flying high in 2nd. That's all for today's sport. Back to you in the studio.
That's it for tonight. Have I emphasised enough that the Waltham Windmill bread is made from grain ground at Waltham Windmill? If you have a news story or any other reason to contact us, then please contact Facebook or Twitter, email news@estuary.tv or phone Grimsby 0147231 5553, or you can write to us at Estuary TV, Nuns Corner, Laceby Road, Grimsby, North East Lincolnshire, DN345BQ. Until tomorrow, from all of us here, good evening.